This is a podcast by Lumina, the perfect space to innovate, collaborate, and grow in health, science, and tech.
Craig Rowsell, welcome to Health Tech Talks.
It's great to be here, Rebecca, and thank you for having me.
You're the Director of the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct here on the Gold Coast and have been involved in the project since 2019. Prior to this, you'd been working on transformational economic development projects also on the Gold Coast, initially focusing on the sport and film sectors. So, Craig, let's start with the Precinct. Can you tell us what the Precinct is?
The vision for the Precinct was created back in the year 2000. It was when the local government and state government set the 200-hectare site here in Southport to create an innovation precinct for the Gold Coast. So since that time, we've had over $5 billion of investment into this precinct. Griffith University's Gold Coast campus has expanded. Gold Coast University Hospital was being created, Gold Coast Private Hospital as well. And the Athletes Village for the 2018 Commonwealth Games was strategically built here in the precinct. Putting all that together, obviously adding in Lumina, the commercial cluster and cohort innovation space, brings together the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct.
And across Australia, how's it recognised?
Yeah, so I'm really proud to say that we are a leading innovation district in the state of Queensland. The Queensland government has recognised us, and our profile nationally is getting bigger and bigger. So just next week, about 5 of us from the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct will present at the National Health and Innovation Districts Conference in Sydney. Lots of people are aware of our precinct now, and bringing that collaboration across precincts and that exposure to the Gold Coast is something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, that's excellent. And what about globally? Do we have a reputation on the world stage?
So a lot of our researchers, clinicians and our entrepreneurs, I would say, are really recognised individually or who they work for. But as a Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct brand, that is something that we are really focused on, is taking our Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct brand international. Our vision is to be internationally recognised, and so that's what we spend a lot of our time on, is how can we add value to what's already happening here by building an innovation precinct that is internationally recognised.
The precinct is described as an ecosystem. What is meant by that?
Yeah, so that's where I really feel the magic happens within innovation precincts. So co-location of universities, hospitals, startups, industry, all in the one location doesn't mean that the ecosystem will work effectively. So that's what our precinct office does. We spend a lot of time to make that magic happen, where we introduce people to one another, we run programs to help those collaborations to happen. And what that results in is that economic benefit and innovation remains here on the Gold Coast. It means you don't need to necessarily collaborate and find people globally or nationally. They might just be a few doors down. And so hopefully we can open those doors up to locals to keep that economic activity here on the Gold Coast.
So it's been phenomenal to watch the growth of the precinct over the last few years. Why do you think it's taken off so quickly?
It's been 23 years in the making. It started in the year 2000 was when the vision was set. But the Commonwealth Games, the 2018 Commonwealth Games, having the light rail brought through the precinct, having the Athletes Village brought here to the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct, and having the great cohort innovation space built here as well, there have been some of the massive impact areas that have really seen our precinct start to advance in recent years. But one thing I would say is our governance. So the governance that we have between state government, local government, Griffith University and Gold Coast Health, how our governance works stands us apart of other districts, because we have a really effective governance model that we can see opportunities and act faster and more effectively than others, I feel.
So, Craig, how does Economic Development Queensland's Lumina Commercial Cluster fit within the precinct?
EDQ's Lumina Commercial Cluster is a critical aspect to the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct. This brings 9.5 hectares of greenfield land owned by the government alongside our hospitals, university and also our startup community. So private developers can put submissions into government through our governance framework to show how they will add value to our ecosystem. So this is really how we're going to create significant knowledge-based jobs for the Gold Coast in health and broader technology fields. A lot of other precincts around Australia don't have land to grow into. We do. It means we can curate what developments happen in the precinct and be really strategic in what developers and what companies we work for to get maximum economic benefit and massive community benefit for the Gold Coast.
Why do you think organisations choose to be part of the precinct?
Firstly, to live on the Gold Coast. I'm a very proud Gold Coaster. I grew up in Coffs Harbour, but the Gold Coast was where my family always used to come for our family holidays, and that meant the Gold Coast, a very special part of my life. So firstly, living in Australia's favourite lifestyle city, and I love living here, and to bring businesses here and to be able to help locals grow their own businesses, especially in new technology fields. You can live in the best city in Australia and you can have the best job in Australia, I feel, here in the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct. So it's just a tremendous place to work, and I think we're only just getting started as well.
Craig, I know a lot of startups have also chosen to base themselves within the precinct at Lumina's cohort innovation space. Why do you think that is?
Cohort is a tremendous Queensland Government startup facility where we have about 50 startup and scale-up companies based here, but it's the community that Cohort has built within the broader precinct, which is really a value add to companies. What we're really working hard on is those companies having the ability to work even more closely alongside Griffith University and Gold Coast Health to help those new technology companies be able to validate their technologies, wrap our arms around them, so then they can actually start to commercialise and move forward. So I believe our precinct really provides that environment to help startup companies to be successful. That's something that we do need to continuously work harder on to ensure our value proposition for startups to be based here and help them to succeed is something that's at front of our mind.
And is that through Lumina X?
Correct, yeah. So Lumina X, which is a great startup accelerator program run here by Cohort, where we have companies now, 10 companies a year, so some Gold Coast companies, some from across Queensland, but also interstate companies flying into the Gold Coast to be part of our accelerator program. It's been great because some of those companies from Sydney and Melbourne that have come through our program have now decided to be based here on the Gold Coast. And now those jobs and companies will scale here on the Gold Coast as opposed to somewhere else.
You're listening to Health Tech Talks, a podcast series delivered by Lumina. To find out more about Lumina, visit the website luminagoldcoast.com.au and sign up today to receive your Lumina Opportunities Pack. How has the precinct managed to become such a driver of innovation and collaboration?
We already have here in the precinct, we have some of the best doctors in the world live here on the Gold Coast. Their connections internationally are significant. So it's not rocket science to be able to then work with them to understand what companies are they working in, what contacts do they have, and invite those companies and people to do business on the Gold Coast. We've been successful in doing that. Same with our universities. We've got some of the best researchers and academics here on the Gold Coast. Our student alumni on the Gold Coast is significant around the world as well. So our profile is really starting to be enhanced, and obviously adding that to, the lifestyle that is the Gold Coast. It's now become a great place to live, but also to run a great company.
And there's so many things like clinical trials happening here. There's AI, so much brilliant work happening here that would attract people in similar industries.
Exactly, yeah. So, here at Cohort, we have companies in artificial intelligence, biotech, medical device companies. A company called Bivacor is producing the world's first rotary artificial heart for humans. So if we just think about that for a moment, an artificial heart for a human is being progressed, and, the research around that technology is now being commercialised here on the Gold Coast, and that's been done here at Cohort. So that company Bivacor is now looking to do human trials next year to start to roll out their artificial heart internationally in the years to come.
That's incredible. And what about BioSpine clinical trial?
Yeah, so with the BioSpine technology, this is Griffith University researchers, primarily within spinal injury, attaching a device to the brain to be able to connect those thought processes to our digital twin technology. Then the digital twin technology puts it into a robotic mechanism which can then start to move people's legs that have had spinal injury. So it means someone with a spinal injury can actually start to ride a bike again or go for a walk in a park and start to be able to use thought control processes to be able to control those mechanisms as well. We can actually start to see themselves walking and riding bikes again, and that technology is coming out of Griffith Griffith University here in partnership with Gold Coast Health and other companies to be able to commercialise that technology internationally.
Is that the research that Dr. Dinesh Palapana is part of?
It is correct.
Yeah, it's incredible work, isn't it?
That's right.
What exciting developments can we expect to see in the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct in 2024?
2024, well, we've got our first private development in Lumina coming out of the ground and being operational in Proxima, so a paediatric centre of excellence, a 2-storey childcare centre for sanctuary early learning adventure, as well as 25% of the children with special needs in that centre as well. Adding in research conducted through Griffith University with those children, Gold Coast Health, a partner in that development as well, and allied paediatric services through that building. That really gives an indication of what types of developments and what type of activity that we're bringing to the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct. It's not standard in terms of how we're curating this precinct. It's world leading, and the services that'll then improve the Gold Coast community will then run alongside that.
Wow. What about 2025?
2025, well, I'm proud to say we've got the Northwest RDX development coming out of the ground, and that's exceptional in its own right as well. Working closely with Northwest Healthcare Properties has been a pleasure. Australia's largest health infrastructure owner, and their pillars of their development is advanced rehabilitation, stroke and aneurysm treatment, as well as phase 1 clinical trials as well. So we're working really hard to bring those companies in that space to be in that development and be able to bring those jobs and that type of innovation to the Gold Coast.
What role do you see Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct playing in shaping the future of healthcare and biotechnology in Australia and beyond?
Yeah, so as we talked about today, we already have some great people in this space doing tremendous things. Great doctors, great researchers and great entrepreneurs. So the foundation is now set. Now we are in that growth phase where we can bring other collaborations nationally and internationally to the Gold Coast through that foundation.
As Director, what's your vision for the precinct?
Firstly, I'm really honoured to be the Director of the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct. I feel this is the most transformational project for the Gold Coast. So very proud to, be successful in getting that role as a Director and be able to lead the precinct forward. There's already been, as I said, $5 billion invested in this precinct, and so the foundations are already there. The people are here. The exposure we're now getting and profile is now starting to really be realised. So I feel like over the next 5 years, our target is to create another 3,000 jobs here on the Gold Coast, a lot of those in knowledge-based jobs. And I feel like with our new developments coming out of the ground and our projects that we have now, that will hopefully obviously reach those targets and be able to bring great technology jobs for people to live on the Gold Coast and scale your business on the Gold Coast.
Fantastic. You're doing a phenomenal job and it's a really exciting space. Now, before we let you go, I said in the intro that when you first moved to the Gold Coast, you were focused on sport and the film sectors. Were there any exciting films that you brought to the Gold Coast?
I love to revisit this part of my career because it was a great time of my life as well. Leading up to the Commonwealth Games back in 2015, I was successful in city economy, getting the job of business and investment attraction officer looking after sport and film industries. So I went to Hollywood 15 times to be able to sign the deals to bring those Hollywood movies to the Gold Coast, and that included Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp, and we all remember that movie. San Andreas, Thor, Ragnarok as well. So worked on some of the biggest movies here in Australia, and I'm really proud that the film industry continues to flourish, but also the sport industry on the Gold Coast continues to be world leading as well. Just our tremendous facilities, tremendous lifestyle here, and the number of athletes that are based here on the Gold Coast really starts to really set the direction as to how our city, the Gold Coast, across multi-disciplinary areas of industry can start to work towards the 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Thank you so much, Craig. It's been a real pleasure talking with you. Thank you.
No worries, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
To learn more about Lumina and how we work with health tech startups, visit luminagoldcoast.com.au. And don't forget to sign up to receive your Lumina Opportunities Pack today.